All right, good day, class. Welcome to our next lesson for the coverage for our third examination. So I'll share the screen to you. Our lesson for the week 6 to 7 or the unit learning outcomes. So at the end of the unit, you are expected to first compare the different learning theories related to the educational technology for teaching and learning, and also develop lessons following the appropriate instructional design model and methods for the effective technology integration. For the essential knowledge, so as we all know, learning is a mechanism in which the skills, the information, attitudes, and other modes of response are learned. So also remembered and implemented. So as a consequence of an event or practice, it requires fairly lasting change in action or information through these three theories of learning that will learn. First is the behaviorism, cognitivism, and constructivism. So when we say behaviorism, so from the word itself, behavior. So the behaviorism is an animal and a human learning theory that focuses on objectively observable actions and intellectual discount capacity. It includes the two, the classical conditioning and the behavioral operant conditioning. So when we say classical conditioning, as you can see here from the picture, it associates the involuntary response and its stimulus. So for example, this dog. So it associates the involuntary response that if they see an object or anything or human person, their owners, so it would really in order to they're thinking about their food, so they should follow the owner. Like for example, this whistle, if they would hear this sound, so that means that there is someone, or there is a stimulus in this dog. While the behavioral apparent conditioning, it is associated in the voluntary behavior and a consequence. So voluntary behavior, like for example, this rat. So uh, it loves to eat cheese. So there is a consequence that the owner of those cheese would get angry about this rat or this mouse. So there is a voluntary behavior in the apparent, while the classical is involuntary. So it is based also on the belief that intelligence is autonomous and is based on the learner's exterior. So the learner is a blank canvas in the mind, right? Ito yung tabula rasa. So the mind of our behaviors and should be presented with the knowledge to be learned. So the new connections are created through this interaction and thus learning occurs. So this is the proponent of this behaviorism is Ivan Pavlov's research. So in his salivating dog experiment, so a dog would be salivating or uh, release its saliva. So Ivan Pavlov proved that this stimulus, in this case, those ringing bell or this whistle, each time he fed the dog, ultimately caused the dog also to start salivating when he heard a ring of a bell. So saliva nila is it's not a voluntary response. So involuntary siya na tuturo talaga yung saliva nila or yung laway nila if they hear this stimulus, in which the dog connected that the bell will ring with being supplied with a foods. Ito siya, if marinig niya tong whistle or yung magbell yung ring, and yung owner would give the dog a food. So that is the time that there is a uh, the first, this behaviorism. Okay, for the classical conditioning happens when a stimulus is reacted to a normal reflection. So Ivan Pavlov's description of dogs salivating when they consume or even see a food, that is the most common example. And then the behavioral operant conditioning. So the proponent of this is B.F. Skinner. So I'm sorry with this letter. So B.F. it should be B.F. Skinner, in which he is a leading behaviorist that he used training the methods to teach pigeons. So yung birds, white birds, right? Pigeons to dance in a mini alley and bow a ball. So in this type of theory. So the learners are passive in the behaviorism and only respond to a stimuli. So the teachers build the atmosphere for learning by a positive and negative reinforcement, and they form the actions of the learner. So the following are important instructional technologies that can be used in this theories are the learner assessment, the reward selection. It can help produce the outcomes and can be used in the therapeutic interventions and technologies to encourage the engagement, management of classrooms and the special education, and the possible behavioral learning practices are instructional signals to achieve the right answer, reinforcement of the appropriate responses, and the building proficiency. Okay, some recent behavioral patterns in these learning technologies is that, according to the article of Sutton, 2003, he discussed um, current trends in the instructional technology, which encompass the theories of this behavior and also then another theory, which is the constructivism. So, a combination of behaviorism and the constructivism or the learning environment. Okay, so the types of this instructional software and computer assisted instruction or the CAI um, are used with this behavior. So the behavior of the student would also change when it comes to this to their environmental learning environment rather. Also, Shield 2000 also addressed the use of the videos on the drilling and practice with the individual guidance and reviews drill and they practice. So the audio visual intelligence among the students is the target of this the videos. So like for example, also some are the computer games that are so highly addictive to teenagers or those millennials, so they are more engaging on this technology. So since you are on the modern world, right, this technological world is really an advantage on this behaviorism and the constructivism. Okay, another is we have here the constructivism learning. That is an active process in which the learners develop a new ideas or concepts based on their current or past knowledge, social interactions, and the motivation which affect knowledge building, social interactions, and the motivation. So again, it uses the current our past knowledge, social interaction, and the motivation is very important on this constructivism. So from the word construct, so they would able to construct some or new ideas or concepts from their previous knowledge to this present knowledge that they have, and they would I love to interact with other people, so they would have this teamwork skills, and they would also motivated them to gain more knowledge from their friends or any other experts. So in technology utilization, so as teachers, as a teacher in the classroom, so your job is to set up the learning environments for your learners to promote this specified result. So my example to you is that the lessons about this topic or this week. So I uploaded or I give you a reading material or a self-review guide about our next lesson in the website, The Creeper. So since that is our main platform on this online classes. Um, it may also have the following principles of the successful instruction as educators. So it is to evaluate your prior knowledge. So with reading those lessons that I gave you, that I posted in the paper, so it gives you an idea about our next lesson for this week. May also consider an individual differences. So if some of you would already know or have a background about this lesson, and then some just do not have. like that. You also state your goal. If you are a competitive student, so you may have to study in advance so that on my next discussion you have an idea about this lesson that we have. Also, build your metacognitive skills so it may improve or enhance your metacognitive ability or your mind. So your rational mind would benefit or would receive new ideas, and may also provide the social interactions. So if you have some difficult topics or questions, so you may ask some of your classmates if what they have learned about the discussion, and an interactive practical context, and engage students in the appropriate practice, and also provide regular, timely, and positive feedback. So the principles of this effective technology utilization. So the teachers are supposed to be professional in their teaching using this technology. This is particularly true when dealing with the learners of the 21st century and discussing the skills outlined for them, for which the teachers not only need to make efficient use of technology in their teaching, but also need to direct students in using those resources to enhance their learning. So, meaning to say this, technology is very important to us teachers to keep updated or have this adjustment. Like, for example, if the teacher is a senior citizen, so he or she doesn't know how to use this laptop or this computer or any gadgets, so he has a lot of time to adjust on this new normal education system. Maybe because some of his or her students are millennials, they are more techy, are engaging on technology, so like that. So the National Student Education Technology Standards, or the NETS-S, listed the following. Um, yeah, list explicitly specifies requirements for the students to use this technology to their learning. So we have here the set of skills. First is the creativity and innovation. So the students would be creative and innovative in using these gadgets because all of the information, like for example if you're searching for your assignment or questions from your class, so just one click in the Google, so there is a lot of answers or information about that certain topic. And then we also improve the communication and the collaborative skills of the students. So may improve their communication in English and their teamwork with other students if they would ask some questions related to the difficulty of the topic. Research also is very important in the information literacy because of these technologies. There's a lot of researches will be posted in the Google, and then the information literate individual or students would receive this from the internet. And also number four is the critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making. So in short, the mental ability of a student would really improve on this technological world. Also, the digital citizenship. So this digital world would also engage to other nation or citizen or those netizens. And also the technology operations and the concepts is very important in this according to the education as no the national student education technology standards, or the NETSS. And also we have here the meaning of these principles, discuss the basic elements of the success in gaining the knowledge and the skills in the 21st century. So we teachers have these expectations to learn those skills as well. So the ISTE also combines this with namely, so the student learning and creativity, the digital age learning experiences and assessments. A third is the digital age of work and learning. Fourth is the digital citizenship and responsibility. And lastly is the professional growth and the leadership. So those are the following skills. Uh, of the teachers that would receive on this technological utilization. Next is in principles of effective media utilization from the word media. So we are constantly learning from the multiple media we have, sources which offers us the knowledge and challenge of our thoughts. So those are visual media, the audio media, or the print media. But in this online class, you are more on focusing on the soft copies, those instead of printed media na piniprint talaga yung module is this soft copy. So all the lessons or all the topics will be uploaded in the paper. So without using a paper, so or just your gadget, cell phone, or laptop. So you may browse or you may scroll or scan the following topics. And then for the effective text utilization, so yun siya, text. So those are the words or letters, the learning experience of the students everywhere. So these text resources include the textbooks, books on fiction and nonfiction, journals, and so on. So in this virtual class, so yun siya, is what I have mentioned, that all the lessons will be uploaded in the Creeper website. Ito siya is, ito na yung mga format, and so on. And also using with the text materials is the SQ3R method. So S stands for survey. Stage requires students to skim through the text material and read the overview and or the summary. So yun siya, as what I am doing. I've already uploaded or posted the lessons in the Creeper. And then Q, question stage requires the students to write a list of questions to answer also while you were reading. R, the three R is the first R is read stage. The students are led to look for the organization of the material, put brackets around the main idea. So ito siya is the basic reading comprehension skills. Another R is to recite, requires them to test themselves while reading and to put the content into their own words. And lastly, the last R is review. Suggests that the students look over the material immediately after reading it. So those are the SQ3R method. So some current trends of the constructivism in this educational technology is that, however, when introducing an instructional technology, there is a significant drive toward more of a constructivist approach. So there are many proponents of this, and they are putting forward compelling case. So one way forward is to switch our attention from the design of the software packages, which act slowly as storehouses of the information, to an interactive problem-based environment in which the student assumes the key. So some of the issues or the current trends that we are facing in this virtual online class is that um, yes, this is my first time to conduct this online class. So I have some problems how to engage or how to get the attention of my students. Maybe on some of my subjects on my GE courses, I uploaded some film viewing or video coming from YouTube to watch it. Like for example, in my environmental science, so I search some videos coming from the YouTube about the forest, grasslands, so on. But on your part, so I will just look for another documentary about these educational technologies. Okay, we have here also in the subject of cognitism, so the conscious mind will be function. So this requires the collection and storage of the information, which is very important in the learning process. And this internal system of information is formed by the cognitive framework, which is called this schema. So it is this schema can be emerged or expanded or updated to a view of new data. So the learner processes, they also stores and retrieves information for use of the creating connections later and generates a collection of knowledge useful for the living. So with these theories, the cognitivists assume that the learning evolves through the information acquisitions, acquiring or the acquisition of knowledge, the storage and the retrieval. So these instructional designers must carefully evaluate and determine appropriate tasks needed to allow learners to process the information and they have obtained effectively and efficiently. So yun siya, di ba? As teachers has a problem in adjusting this new normal education system that we have. So we cannot really know if all of you students would store information, but I have a big trust in you since you are a future educator. So I hope uh, you would have this urge to self-study or yeah, tulungan niyo talaga yung sarili niyo na maka-cope up sa ating lessons. Even though we are not having or conducting this face-to-face face-to-face classes. Okay, that's a wrap for our first lesson. And then for the second one would be, yeah, here is this develop this um instructional design model. So we have here, when we say instructional models, we have here the 7 characteristics. So this is based on the learner, and then emphasis is on also the learner and his or her success. Second, it is an objective oriented, so it has an objective and a well-defined goal. Then the concept focuses on the success in the real world. So what you would learned on or all the theories on your 4-year degree course at UM Panab College. So you would apply it in the next future after you graduate and then take the board examination. And then fourth is it focuses on the outcomes observable in a consistent and true manner. So as a future teachers, so you would also be a consistency is the key and a true manner of this professional licensed professional teacher, and its methodological nature is instructive, and commonly instructional design is a team effort, so it cannot be done by only one teachers but a collaborative effort with your co-teachers or your future yung kasama nyo na magtuturo din, mga friends or yeah, yung co-teacher nyo sa yung school na applyan. So we have here the commonly accepted design model. So number 1 is the Assure model. 2 is the what you call this one, the ADDIE model. So we'll know what this model stands for. Bakit siya tinawag na Assure, and then ADDIE. And also we have here the Dick and Gary model. That is the third one. And last is the Guinness 9 events of the instruction. So by the way, there is a lot of model, but I include it in my modules. I write this for in which these are the 4 was commonly used as a designer, instructional designer. The Assure model stands for A is the analyze learners. The first S is state standards and the objectives. The next S is select strategies, technologies, media, and materials. U stands for utilize technology, media, and materials. R is the require learner participation, and E is evaluate and revise. So the first step in the process is to make the instructor evaluate her learner's attributes, or it is to analyze the learners. So the general attributes of the learners, such as their age, their academic abilities, their genders, interests, and etc. Like for example, in the grade school or elementary days, some of the pupils do not know how to use any gadgets, but on this age, right? Marami na sa kanilang marunong gumamit ng mga teknolohiya. May also their academic abilities, di ba? But some of that, if you would ask them to do some or research assignment or mga thesis, di ba, di pa nila alam. Unlike on the senior high school and the college days, so may background na sila how to make it. And then also it depends also on the gender. So probably sa mga online mobile games is mostly mga males yung marunong. Minsan din is may mga babae. And also their interest using these technologies, di ba? Like for example in the self-study. ang interest nila when it comes to self or in gadgets is mostly social media lang yung alam nila. If when it comes to class, it is really a challenge to really cope up with the class. And then the prior competencies and the learning styles such as the auditory, visual, or the auditory and the tactile or those movement, but the bodily kinesthetic skills. Okay, the first is next is the state standards and objectives. So it is very important, right? Like for example, in creating a lesson plan, that you have this um objectives. So the instructor, the teacher must state the goals and objectives for the learning module after evaluating the learner's attributes. So yun siya. Alam na natin yung audience the objectives. Then we have also here the learning goals of the ABCDs. So A stands for the audience, so for whom is the objective intended. So as well know, it is for all these students. B is the behavior. What is the behavior or the performance to be demonstrated? And then the C is the condition. So what are the conditions under which the behaviors or the performance will be observed? And last is the degree. To what degree will the knowledge or the skill will be mastered? So most of the activities that I am doing to all of you is posting all the lessons in the Keeper account, so it would master your knowledge and then your reading skills if you are really a good reader. Yan siya, and responsible student. So, mas inuuna na lang ninyo yung mga sa pag-aaral kaysa sa mga social media or paglalaro ng mga online games. Yun siya. Also, the next is select strategies, technology, media, and the material. So ito siya that given that what your learning goals are, so you need to pick the educational approach, technology, and media that will produce the result that you want. So there's a lot of teaching strategies that you would use or that you would know. You may apply it in your future job as a teacher, or you may know use any other technologies that we have. Like for example, this recording, this recorded video that I am making is use the Zoom app to discuss or to share screen this PDF file on my laptop, and then or Google Meeting. Sa Google Meeting is wala siyang recording, unlike here sa Zoom. Then sa Zoom pala, I did not use it for my um, meeting with the students because I have a time, may limited time na siya na kailangan. I think 30 minutes lang siya pwede sa face-to-face na virtual class kasi nagamit ko na siya nung summer class pa. I think June, ito yun, or July on my summer class. So yun siya, medyo nagamit ko na siya. So I did not buy the license well sa Zoom kasi medyo may kamahalan siya. Next is to here you utilize the technology, media, and the material. So we have here the 5 P's and the utilization. So preview the technology, media, and the material. So you would know how to use this technology or the preview of using this technology. You may prepare it in advance and how you will use them. Also prepared technology, the media, and the material. So all the things that you will need to teach your lesson must be put together. So para with this lesson plan, prepared na siya yung technology na gagamitin nyo. So yun siya. Also prepare the environment. So the setting up of the learning environment needs some limited planning. So kailangan din talaga siya ng preparation. And also prepare the learners is very important in this utilization of the technology. And then lastly is to provide the learning experience. So you really do the lecture, then it is here where all your preparation takes place. So lahat ng prayer nyo is with that, so lalabas na yung learning experiences nyo about this utilization of technology. Okay, another abbreviation in the Assure model is R, stands for Require Learner Participation. So this step is in fact a part of the earlier steps. So yun siya, di ba, that you will require to participate the learners. Kaya, di ba, sa ginagawa ko sa Google Meeting is while I am discussing, so I'll call someone to answer the following questions or to discuss the next topic para naman hindi lang ako yung nagsasalita. So may bibigay din kayo na direct information or ideas about our lesson, and then makikita ko if sino talaga yung nagbabasa sa mga pinopost ko sa paper. And then lastly is the evaluate and revise. So after this model, so there should be an evaluation in using this technology, and then there could also be a revision if ito ba siya na ginagamit yung technology, is may impact ba siya sa mga estudyante or wala. So pwede naman natin siya uulitin in the next school year. So ito siya is parang experimental type lang man siya on you, since you are my first student on this virtual class. So how about on my next class on the next term or second term? So ito ba rin ba ang gagamitin ko? So there is a revision in every technologies that we are using. Okay, the next model is the ADDIE model. So ADDIE model is, we have here the 5 components. So the analyze, the design, development, implement, and then evaluation. So every model may experience a revision kasi nga this instructional model is this approach has been used by educators and designers as a tool for planning and improving. So ito siya ang keyword ng ADDIE model, that it may plan and improve an educational model. The first is the analysis. So this is the phase that called the goal setting period. So from the word goal setting period or the analysis component, so siya man yung una. So it is where what would be your goal or your goal on this learning environment or the setting period, that may also focus in the process of the target audience. So siya yung pinakauna, siya talaga yung susundan nyo na goal-oriented na discussion ninyo sa yung mga estudyante. So ito siya, may lahat, marami siyang mga questions na dapat pwede siyang sundan on the analysis part. So pwede nyo din yan siya gagamitin. So marami yan siya. The second one in the ADDIE model is the design. So this stage decides all the goals, the instruments to be used to gauge results, various assessments, review of the subject matter, preparation, and the resource. From the word design, so ano yung mga instruments or magde-decide na kayo ng goal from that what do you call this one, from the analysis na ginamit as your goal setting period. So in the design, so you would know what are the learning goals, the learning content, then subject matter research, the training, the lesson planning, and evaluation method that you use on the media and the media selection on this design part. So mako-construct na kayo sa sa gagawin nyo na lesson sa ganyan na topic. So on the word design. So marami din siyang question na gamiton. So you may also use the audio visual or graphics sa mga pag-utilize sa technology. So yun siya. So marami din yan siya. Next is development. So after design, you will now develop on the next develop. There is another improvement or enhancement on this component. So it starts the manufacturing and evaluating the methods used in the project. So i-evaluate niyo muna yung naging design nyo, di ba? Kasi siya, before may development is may design muna na gagamitin before siya maging developed. Okay, ito meron din siyang mga following question na gagamitin. Another in the adding model is the implementation. So this stage represents the program's continual adjustments from the word implementation. So you would implement if na-develop after na-develop yun siya from the design. So you would know if it should be continued na or another adjustment on this implementation of the ADDIE model. Another questions are here. And then lastly, same kanina sa Assure model is meron din siyang evaluation. So this is the final stage. Diba? It's like that. So the rigorous final review on what, how, why, when of the things that entire process has achieved or not achieved. So just like on my this week's lesson, so I'll give examination or evaluate your reading ability if you have read some of my lessons and the creeper counts in siya. So this is the second model, and then the third is we have here the following questions. The Dick and Curry instructional model, or also known as the systems approach model. So despite the seemingly complex diagrams that occur while looking for and pictured see below, so the steps are mostly unrelated to what they do help you find out what to teach and how to teach. So all these 10 phases are linked and some indirectly influence others whilst they can directly influence two others. So ito siya is identify the instructional goals. So what are your instructional goals that you're gonna be using? You may identify the entry of the behaviorism, or you may also directly conduct instructional analysis. And then in this identification, you may also write a performance objectives, develop the criterion reference test, may develop instruction strategy, develop and select instructional materials, and also develop conduct a formative evaluation or formative assessment. So ito na yun siyang test. And the last is to develop or conduct also a summative evaluations after a formative and summative. Then pwede din siya babalik na naman sa entry ng behaviorism. So parang vice versa lang yung mode or phase niya. Then dito is if you are having instructional analysis, so you may also revise it as an instruction. So pwede din siya tutungo dito sa every steps if instructional analysis or babalik siya sa right affirmative process. So, yan yung sa or system approach model sa Dick and Gray. So, my stages pala siya. So, instructional goals, first stage. The instructional analysis is the second. Third is the entry behaviors and learners characteristics. Fourth is the performance objectives. Fifth, criterion reference. Sixth, instructional strategy. Seven, instructional materials. Eight, formative evaluation. Nine, summative evaluation. So, ito siya. So, ang all in all is parang same lang din siya sa Azure model and sa ADI model, but mas detailed siya, di ba, na may kailanganin siya ng mga tests and mga evaluation. So last part pa din siya ang evaluation. Okay, the last part is the Robert Guinness 9 events of instruction. So ito yung events niya. First is to gain the student's attention. This is the emotional buy-in in the first step in laying the foundation for the learning retention. Second is the inform the students for the objectives. Establishes the expectations for the course and the criteria for measuring success of or the failure. Third, simulate the recall or the prior knowledge or the prior learning of the students. Fourth is to present the content of the lesson or the topic. Fifth is to provide learner the guidance if they have some questions related, like for example, using the case studies or activities and discussion and question. Six, to elicit the performance of these students. So they may challenge the recall, the and utilization and the evaluation knowledge. Seven is to provide feedback. Eight is to assess the performance. And lastly, number nine is to enhance the retention and the transfer to job, or it may use the content retention strategies through the appropriate job aids to retain the new knowledge of the students. So those are the following models on this topic. So ito pala siya yung nine according to Robert Kane. 9 events of the instruction. Okay, that's a wrap for our discussion. So thank you guys for listening and have a good day. Yeah, stay.